subject to. And to that end, he also wrote this famous book called The Autobiography of a Yogi. That book was first published in 1946. And since the time of its first publication until now, that book has remained a perennial bestseller. And today, it has been translated into nearly 50 languages, and practically 95% of the human population can read that book in its own mother tongue. And in India also, it has been published in 13 Indian languages and also available in the Nepali language. And in that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda ji describes in detail about his own life's experiences, his own search for God in his childhood, and how that search led him to the feet of a God-realized Guru, Swami Sri Yukteswar ji in Kolkata, and how after receiving training from him in the science of Kriya Yoga, he himself was able to realize God. And also there are many stories, many experiences Paramahansa Yogananda ji had with the various, with the many contemporary saints, Indian saints at that time, God-realized saints. So it is a very readable, highly interesting and readable book. And I would advise that anyone who has any interest to know about spirituality, about yoga, he should definitely read that book. So since his passing in 1952, this organization, both in India and in the US, that has spread all over the world, and we have meditation centers, like you see this meditation center here in Kathmandu, in Nepal. So similarly, we have meditation centers in practically every major city in India. And several thousand devotees, hundreds of thousands of devotees are following this path of Kriya Yoga, and they are finding remarkable transformative changes in their own life. They are finding that even in today's day and age, this science of Kriya Yoga is as valid and as useful as it was thousands of years ago when it was first discovered by the rishis of ancient Himalayan India. Now, the program we are having in the next 3-4 days is based upon the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda ji. This science of Kriya Yoga is not just a theoretical science. It is a very practical way of life. And in that Kriya Yoga, there are techniques of meditation, there are very clear-cut and practical instructions on perhaps every aspect of life. Not only on how to meditate, how to connect with God, how to conduct every aspect of life with the divine. These are definitely there. But in addition to these spiritual guidelines and these spiritual truths, Paramahansa Yogananda ji also gives very detailed and practical instructions on diet, on how to keep the body fit and physically fit, how to keep it mentally strong, what kind of attitudes to develop so that we can face all the trials and vicissitudes of life, and also how to change our own nature, how to make it more spiritual so that our day-to-day relationships, they improve and they are founded, they are based upon divine love, on unconditional love, and how to expand our consciousness. How to expand our consciousness so that we stop thinking in terms of only myself, my family, my society or my country, but keep on expanding that love we feel until that love becomes so vast that it embraces, that it encompasses the whole universe. So all these instructions are there in the science of Kriya Yoga. And those teachings, all this wisdom of Paramahansa Yogananda ji, that is available to us today in the form of printed lessons. And these lessons were written and edited by Paramahansa Yogananda ji during his lifetime. And recently they have been also produced in a new edition. So these lessons are available for any truth seeker. Paramahansa Yogananda ji used to say that Kriya Yoga, being a science, it is not restricted for just one small group of people. It is not limited to just one race or caste or country. Just like science. For example, some scientists invented electricity. But that electricity is now being used all over the world. The entire world is benefiting from it. You can't say that electricity is meant for only people in America or Europe. It is meant for the entire world. So similarly, the science of Kriya Yoga is universal in its nature and application. And so it is meant for everyone in this world. Anyone who is interested in learning about his true nature. Who am I? Where I have come from? Is there a God? Does God exist? And if a God exists, how do I connect myself? How do I connect with Him? How do I communicate with Him? Will He answer my prayers? So these are fundamental questions any human being can have. And that is why this science is meant for the entire humanity, not just one caste or creed or race or nationality. So these lessons are available to everyone. And another unique feature of this wisdom is that it is sent by post by our organization. That means a person who wants to learn Kriya Yoga does not have to travel to one of our ashrams. He does not have to come all the way to India or to our ashram in Ranchi and learn it from us personally. Though that facility is also there. Anyone is welcome to come to our ashrams. But if somebody is not able to, he can sit at home and get these lessons by post wherever he is, anywhere in the world. And there is a very nominal fees for this, and it is available for everyone. As of now, these lessons are available in English and a couple of Indian languages like Tamil and Telugu, but we are having them translated into more and more Indian languages. So that is how practical Paramahansa Yogananda ji was. He knew, he understood that in the modern world, it will be difficult for people to travel to long distances to meet a guru, meet somebody who has got realization, and to get that wisdom from him firsthand. So whatever he learned, whatever he experienced, that he put it down in the form of a printed word so that it is available for all ages to come. So that is the greatest contribution of Paramahansa Yogananda ji. In addition to that, he also founded several ashrams. So we have our main ashram in Ranchi, which is the capital of Jharkhand. And we have ashrams also one in Kolkata, one in the Himalayan region, in the Almora district, and one in the northern capital region in Noida. So we have 4 ashrams in India. And we have more than 250 meditation centers, like the meditation center here in Kathmandu, Nepal. And at these meditation centers, devotees gather once or twice a week or more often, and they follow the teachings, they follow the meditation teachings, Kriya Yoga teachings of Guruji. We have group meditations conducted there. So this is the basic pattern. A person obtains these lessons by post, and through these lessons he can learn on his own. Sitting in his home, he can learn the very high meditation techniques. These are very high techniques of meditation, of pranayam techniques. and he can practice it. If he has any doubts, he can call us on phone or talk to us through email or send us a letter, and we answer his questions. So that way we are able to serve the followers of Paramahansa Yogananda ji. And in addition to that, as I said in the beginning, Yogoda Satsang Society is also a charitable organization. We have a large portion of our energy and resources go to charitable activities. We have a charitable hospital, dispensary, eye clinic where we do free cataract operations. We treat thousands of patients free of charge all over India. And so wherever we have a meditation center, we encourage the devotees there to do some kind of a charitable activity, whatever they are able to, whether it is a small medical dispensary or adopting a few poor students, giving scholarships, or even bigger projects, whatever they're able to. So that way, in addition to catering to the spiritual welfare of the people, we also try to do whatever we can to fulfill the physical needs of those of our brothers and sisters who are less fortunate. So this is very briefly about the organizational structure and the life mission of Paramahansa Yogananda ji. Now, coming specifically to what is Kriya Yoga. As I said, it is an ancient science, and it is based upon Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. Many of you must be familiar with that. The Ashtanga Yoga has 8 steps: Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. So these are the 8 steps of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. And it's also called Raja Yoga. Now, why is it called Raja Yoga? The word Raja, it comes from the Sanskrit root Raj, or from which also comes Ranjan, from which we have Manoranjan, which means entertainment. So Raja Yoga means that path of yoga which gives you immense joy and bliss. That is why it's called Raj Yoga. And this Kriya Yoga is based upon Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. And specifically in this path of Kriya Yoga, we have a very high technique of pranayam, which is also called Kriya Yoga. And that is the foundation, that is the main technique on which this path is based. Now, what exactly is pranayam? You know, in general, most people think, first of all, that yoga is a set of hatha yoga asanas where people, for physical health and body flexibility, we learn to do these asanas, and that's yoga. Well, that is a partial truth. That is also part of yoga, but it is a very small area of the vast science of yoga. The actual Raja Yoga focuses on control of our thoughts. It focuses on controlling our emotions and thoughts, so that eventually we are able to reach a state which is beyond thought, into that zone of vast calmness and peace. And what our rishis found out many thousands of years ago was that our thoughts are restless because our energy is restless. They found that there was a very deep connection between our consciousness and our energy. Now, when I say energy, we have to understand a little bit more deeply what is being referred to when I say energy. Specifically, yogis are talking about that invisible electrical energy which keeps this body alive, and that the yogis call as prana or pran shakti. Now, physical science so far has not identified this pranic electricity, pranic energy. but it is a concept which has been there in Indian philosophy since time immemorial. And what that science tells us is that essentially we are souls. That means we are sparks of consciousness. And temporarily we have been given this body to play out our roles on this earth plane. This earth is like a stage, and we are like actors on this stage. And just like in a movie, just like in a drama, different actors have different roles. Each of us on this world stage has a different role to play. But it is nothing more than a role in a movie, which is temporary. And once that role is over, we have to go back. So what is this which goes back? That which survives physical death, we call as soul, as consciousness. So what is connecting that entity which we call as soul with this body? That entity is this pranic energy, this invisible spiritual electricity, which not only creates this body at the time of birth, but also is responsible for the growth and maintenance of this body until the time of death. And it is said that because of this connection of this electricity, or this connecting bridge between our soul and body, through the prana, we are aware of our body. So as long as the energy flows in our body parts, in our five senses, these five senses are our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, and our skin. Because this pranic electricity is flowing through these five senses, we are aware of this outside world, we are aware of ourselves and this body. But every night when we sleep, without our knowledge, these senses shut down. And at that time, our identity of country, race, gender, they're all lost in the stage of sleep. But are we totally unconscious? We are not, because when we wake up from deep sleep, we always say, oh, I had such a refreshing sleep. So that means even when we are not aware of our body or all the other parameters of our identity, there is still some entity which survives that. And that is what our ancient sages said, that is our true identity, that is our true nature. The deep peace and sometimes the deep joy we feel in a deep state of sleep is our true nature. And God has created this mechanism that every day for 6 to 8 hours we are able to forget this bothersome world and retire back into our true nature. And what is our true nature? Joy, bliss, peace, which we unconsciously enjoy during sleep. So, by studying the phenomenon of sleep, our yogis found out that there is a way by which we can cut ourselves from this bodily consciousness. And that they found was through a process of watching the breath or a special form of breathing. And through the special form of breathing, we control the invisible prana within. So that is pranayam. So controlling that inner electricity, which keeps this body alive, controlling that inner prana is pranayam. And Kriya Yoga is one such form of pranayam. So when we are able to consciously withdraw that energy from the body, from our senses, and take it back into the spine and into the higher centers of consciousness, which are called chakras, that is the science of Kriya Yoga. And that every person can practice, because that is our true nature. That is how we descend into the body, and that is the way we can ascend out of this body consciousness to realize our true nature, which is the soul consciousness. So this in short is Kriya Yoga. And this is what Paramahansa Yogananda ji taught the world, gave to the world as his supreme gift. And that is the teaching which we are now perpetuating through these two organizations. And in Nepal, in the next 3-4 days, this is what we are going to again teach to the devotees, the various meditation techniques, predominantly Kriya Yoga, how to practice it, how to interiorize oneself, and how to connect with the divine.